How we doing, my friends? Welcome to the Kyle Seraphin Show. Local subscribers call in program that we do on Thursday nights. I guess it's Thursday, isn't it? I just jumped off the Larry Elder Show. Just literally disconnected with the man himself. And so if you guys caught me there, I took off the jacket and I told him I got to go talk to my people. So here we are. We're going to go over all the things that you guys want to chat about. I see you guys jumping in on the chat already. So we'll throw that up on the screen there as you guys get rolling. Thanks for joining us. This is the call-in program where you guys get a chance to run the show. It is whatever you are interested in, and the phone is open, the line is open, and I have it set up properly, which we didn't do last time. For some reason, I was missing y'all's call. So I'm watching it, I'm paying attention, and you're welcome to join us whenever you are ready. I hope you enjoy the little intro that we do there. I spent a little bit of time on it just because I think it's kind of fun to get hyped. And that is that. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit maybe about some of the stuff that just got released out there in the world. Let me actually drop the phone number in. It's the 214 area code. If you guys are looking for the phone, you're like, which one is it? It's that one. We're going to hold on to November's number because why not? It's the end of the year. All right. There was a report released by the Office of the Inspector General for DOJ. And it's pretty interesting in so much as they've been really, really shady and look like they're kind of doing a bureau cover-up. It looks like the kind of thing that the FBI would point to and say, you see, we didn't do anything wrong. But it's pretty clearly full of some, I don't know, like partial truths that are in there. So we might talk about that a little bit. The report is entitled A Review of the Federal Bureau of Investigation's Handling of its Confidential Human Sources and Intelligence Collection Efforts in the Lead Up to the January 6, 2021 Electoral Certification. That's the name of the program. Go figure. Oversight and Review Division. And so DOJ's Office of Inspector General put that out. If you guys know anything about what I think about DOJ's OIG, I don't have a hugely impressed view of them. I don't think that they're fantastic. They seem to do kind of party line stuff. And not for nothing, a relatively left-leaning reporter and I talked about this, and also that person, he or she did not find it particularly impressive either. It's been a kind of a heavy media day over here in the Seraphin House for all of you that are part of our normal morning program. If you guys caught me in the morning, then you know I did the morning podcast. Right after that, I got myself into an interview with Fox News where we talked about the outgoing director, Chris Wray. And then after that, I got myself into a podcast where I talked to Moms on a Mission, which is probably going to air today at some point in a little bit, 30, 45-minute kind of podcast, which was really enjoyable, and I enjoyed it. We had a nice, fun kind of chat. I like talking to moms. We have the same kind of interest, but from a different angle. And I usually can make moms laugh because I got dad humor. Sad thing, kind of update for the Seraphin kids. My girls have taken on the burden or the persona of sending dad jokes my way, like basically nonstop. And I cannot get them to stop. There are jokes about pears. They're all puns. They're all really, really bad fruit puns. Grapes, nails, like take your worst, sort of most esoteric and simplistic dad jokes, and that's what my 6 and 7-year-old girls are up to right now, which is pretty fun. Anyway, back on to this sort of like January 6th thing, which I'll talk about for just a little bit longer. Essentially, the FBI exposed that there were 26 sources, 14 of whom committed crimes on that day, none of whom have been prosecuted, and none of them had a thing that was called OIA, which might be something that gets you guys kind of buzzed up to want to call in and talk about. The concept of OIA is otherwise illegal activity. It's an executive authority that the FBI maintains, and it allows sources and delegates of the Bureau to engage in activities that would otherwise break the law, and they do so for an investigative purpose, and they get the get out of jail free card as long as they stay within the boundaries of what it says on their OIA letter. That's probably going to bring up some questions from some of you, and that's okay. It's not nearly as nefarious as it sounds, but it sounds like they didn't have any OIA authorizations on January 6th, and then those people ended up getting out and getting themselves into some hot water. So, for whatever that's worth, that was noted. 4 of the members that were CHSs, confidential human sources, or known as informants, they rolled into the Capitol. They actually went into the grounds or went into the building. None of them have been arrested, predictably. On top of that, there's kind of like this sycophantic moment in the report where they talk about how well the FBI did in preparing. They did extraordinary measures. And if you're a fan of this program, or if you've even paid attention a little bit, what you've probably heard me mention is a term called NSSE, which I just finished talking to Larry Elder about. But the National Special Security Event is a thing that is supposed to happen when they have big gatherings over in Washington, D.C. They're supposed to prep for it. They're supposed to get all of the federal stuff together. And they didn't. They failed. They failed to do that. They didn't notify anybody. They didn't activate that federal authority. And by the way, the weirdest thing is it's not the FBI that calls that together. It's the Secret Service under the DHS. So those things didn't happen. Anyway, this report tries to kind of like gloss over things. There's some objectively false things within the report, things that I know to be false. And I don't know if they just didn't have complete records or they just lied or what was going on there. But the FBI did a thing called a canvass. They canvassed to find out if anybody was going to January 6th. And that means that they asked all the agents to ask all the sources that they handle, are you doing this thing? And the answer came back yes. And obviously, as many as 26 of them did, in fact, travel to the area. The claim was that nobody asked for that. And I know that's false because I got that email. And so did Garrett. And so did others inside the Bureau, still in there, that remember getting the email asking if you had sources and would they be willing to travel, which is very common, by the way. The FBI sends people to all kinds of big events. So all that's kind of bizarre. Just weird to see it. It seems to also call out a thing called UCEs, undercover employees. That's the official Bureau term for an undercover agent. And it said that there were none of them in the crowd, but what it didn't mention were there any agents that were in plain clothes that were not officially considered to be UCEs, which is a program. It's like saying that, you can be a soldier. That means you're in the Army, but you could be an infantryman. That's a specific part of the Army. So there were no infantrymen involved in the fight. It was just a bunch of people that came out of some other units. This is kind of what they said. They said there were no UCEs. So that's all kind of shady and surprising. If you guys don't have a big issue with it, what I will do into the Rumble chat, since some of you guys are having a hard time getting into the locals, and that's fine. I understand that. I'm going to go ahead and just toss the phone number out for anybody because it's the Christmas spirit. If you are a supporter of ours over on Rumble, I see Lemon. I see you, Lemon Zinger, getting upset. You have a list of questions. You can bring your list to me. I just put the phone number out there in the chat. So give it a dial, give it a ring, tell me who you are, and hit me with your questions. I am fully prepared for that. If you guys can't handle the locals, we always leave the chat up here for Rumble anyhow. So I'm going to throw up what is my favorite song here. Not Project 2025. We have the song, which is sort of our theme song for all of our interviews. And I just put together a thing for that. So let me find it here. I had it here the other day for y'all. It's kind of our groove as we kind of get going. Let's get started here. Boop, boop, boo. Well, that's not it, but let's get started with this. All right. I've distributed the phone number to all the local chats, but if you guys are listening and you just hear my voice, it's 214, that's the area code, 831-7631, 214-831-7631. It's in the chats, in the various places where you can find it. It should be over in the, oh boy. Let's see here. All right, we're going to fade the music down. Caller, are you on the line?
Hey, what's up there, Kyle?
Who am I talking to?
It's Renzo.
Renzo. I like that you think that I'm just going to guess from you being 20 feet away while you're doing the dishes on the phone. How we doing, my friend?
Well, sometimes I wait because we were having that issue where I was dropping out, so I wasn't sure.
Shady. Now you're here. What do you got going on? What's in your mind?
So I was just, I was wondering, because like earlier in the chat, and earlier today during the chat, I saw that Steve Friend had said that Paul Abate was going to take over, I guess, now that Ray is out, or whenever Ray leaves.
Yeah. Okay.
So
what do you want to know about that? So that's true. That's always the way it works. The way that the FBI is set up is that there's always a person that's called an acting, and so they step into the role of the person that is above them if that person is incapacitated or leaves. So, and if guys, if you're watching right now and you're seeing on the chat, we've Renzo's on the line, so the line is full, and we'll grab you on in a moment. You don't have to keep hammer dialing. I'll let you know when the line's free again. So all that is to say that if the director steps down or resigns or whatever else, and Chris Wray's apparently going to do that to the end of the administration, so maybe January 19th or something like that, maybe the Friday before, right? When he does, Paul Abate will be the guy that steps in. Paul Abate is the current deputy director. He will become the acting director. The person that is now what's called the associate deputy director will become the acting deputy director, and then they will take one of the EADs, the executive assistant directors, and that person will probably backfill the ADD role, the associate deputy director, and that's as much as you need to know about FBI org charts. But essentially, there will be someone that steps into that role and fills in that space. So that's what they do. Yep.
So now, if he takes over, say Ray stays to the very end until the 19th.
Okay.
And then he would take over, I guess, on the 20th or whenever Trump got inaugurated.
Right.
Now, when does Cash, like the confirmation hearings, do they take place after the inauguration?
Yes. Yeah. It'll be in January or February. So it's however fast they can convene a quorum for the Senate and be able to do the confirmation hearing and get him into office. So, it's going to have to be a vote. It's with the advice and consent of the Senate, which means we got to get our over the top vote there. And it sounds like he's probably got the numbers, right? But
I think he does.
I think so too. He's all the people that would be otherwise. I think he's going to be the least contentious now that the people are meeting with him. I think they're the people that are never going to vote for him are never going to vote for him. But the people that need to vote for him, one of the things that they were holding over his head is, stupid things like clearances and stuff like that. And I think that'll all get sorted out pretty easily. So I don't want to say too much about it, but
I wouldn't be surprised to see if Fetterman actually voted for him too.
I wouldn't be surprised either. I mean, I think Fetterman is a fellow hoodie aficionado. I think he could show up with a Fight Like Cash hoodie and hook him up, and that's it. Now you're bros. What do you think?
Yeah. So then if the Murkowskis of the world don't vote for him, I think that's going to actually make up a vote. And I think that maybe one or two other Democrats might actually vote for him, because they see the writing on the wall.
If they're smart, here's the thing. How do you defend, if you are a identity politics type, how do you defend voting against the first Indian American former public federal defender who worked defense case? How do you do that? I mean, they should get hammered for this stuff. I just said it on Larry Elder's program. I said, we live in a wild time, a time where apparently that's going to be an acceptable way to operate. They're going to be able to say some crazy nonsense like that, which is that the first brown guy who has a background that is not a DOJ prosecutor gets nominated, and you're going to vote against him? Like, you must be racist, you evil racist. We were told Kamala Harris was qualified to be president because she was a crappy prosecutor in a stupid district in California. Right?
Exactly. So, that's why I think that that he's probably most likely going to get in with smoothly, or as smooth as possible nowadays.
I hope so.
But now, when he gets in, can you tell him to fire this Paul Abate guy?
Yeah. Is Paul Abate going to survive the purge? I suspect not. I don't. That's all I'll say about that. But he doesn't seem like the kind of guy that'd be able to survive a management restructuring. He is a hardcore bureau sort of status quo guy, and probably most dangerously, he is like a BLM aficionado, and also prefers.
That's what I know him from, is the BLM stuff.
Yeah, well, and he also I've had too many credible allegations that he's been sleeping with the help, the support staff. and might have gotten one pregnant. And, I've got the phone number of one of his girlfriends. So, it's not good. It's not a good, that's not where you want to be.
That's never good.
I hope they listen to this program and I hope he saves everybody the trouble and he just, retires and resigns because he needs to leave. But he won't, I don't think. And so they've all got plans. We'll see what happens.
It's like Steve said, he needs to get that acting director title before he leaves.
Yeah, the acting director title is the same thing Andy McCabe has. You know what happens when you're acting director? If you put your portrait on the wall, we throw it in the trash can and we give it to like a whistleblower to wipe their butt with. So, sorry, Bubba. It's not going to last.
And just one other thing before I let you go.
Yep.
So Charlie had mentioned in one of the chats, like I think it was maybe last Friday or something.
Wait a minute, who Charlie? Charlie, my dad, Charlie?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's Charlie.
To ask you about the goldfish story.
The goldfish story. What about the goldfish story?
Like something about eating a goldfish.
Oh, I've eaten a bunch of goldfish for sure. I don't really like fish, Renzo. So for whatever I'm not a fish eater in general, but I am a person who will take a monetary. I've had a couple of goldfishes in a couple of different instances. I had an uncle that basically said $20 to somebody who drinks a goldfish that was in the centerpiece at one of my cousin's weddings, and which always turns into a shit show of like drunkards. So. So the challenge goes out. It's like $20 a goldfish or something like that. And I said, just shoot, line them up. Give me a big glass. I'll drink down like 5 of those suckers. You can give me 100. And so then, drunken uncle was excited or, enthusiastic uncle. I don't know if he was drunk or not, but said, yeah, let's do it. Like, go ahead. So they lined up like 5 goldfish in glasses. And I just did shots and swallowed 5 goldfish. No big deal. But then I actually
dangerous with the liquid. You got to make sure they go down head first.
Yeah, you just got to swallow. You got to get a big gulp in. I was a swimmer, so I know how to deal with water and just drink a lot of it if I need to. So anyway, so I nailed that. But then I also had some roommates at one point in time that decided to do this really bizarre beta fish fighting. You know what beta fish are?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so they're like
my daughter's used to have them.
Yeah. So they're like real colorful, right? And they're real pretty. But if you put 2 males together, they'll fight. And because I had friends that were not, they weren't always really well behaved in their lives. They may have been more immature at some point than other people. So my friends came up with the idea that they were going to have a beta fish fighting event. And so all the beta fish were going to kill each other until there was one beta fish standing. Okay, that was the goal. At a party. And then the last beta fish had to fight my friend's male anatomy member. So that was the plan, but it turns out the beta fish don't really fight all that fast. They're kind of slow, so it was pretty boring. So everybody kind of forgot about it, and a couple of beta fish ended up shredded in the morning, and I think they died. And there was like one beta fish standing, but my friend was not in a position to fight it with his junk. So the new bet went out: if somebody will swallow the goldfish, they tried to kill the beta fish by throwing like stuff in the water to off it, and it wouldn't die. So they transferred it into fresh water, and then they said, they pooled their money, and one of the guys basically came up with like $128.73 or some ridiculously silly, but like quite a bit of money for a single fish. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And so I just downed it, took their money, and then left. And so they were all kind of like drunk guys with no money, and I had another free protein fish snack, which I don't normally like fish. I got some. That's probably the only omega-3s that I actually go out there and consume in my life, and it was years ago.
I just find that amusing because like when I was in college and like my fraternity, that was like one of the pledge things that everybody had to eat a goldfish.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is the same mentality, same age, same stupidity, just without the fraternity excuse. That's you're talking about the same thing.
So I've eaten quite a few of that fish in my life.
Yeah, you know what? End of the day, what's a couple of goldfish between a couple of friends? As somebody, what would a country just say in the chat? $20 is $20.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, or what's a goldfish if you're a pledge. My brothers actually got themselves into some hot water. They stole a table from a frat house back in the day. I think the statute is probably expired, the limitations on that. But they rolled into a fraternity house, and they picked up a table, and they walked out with it. And everybody was like, "What the hell are you doing?" And they were like, "We're pledges, and we got to do this thing." And they were like, "Oh, stupid pledges! Like, get out of here, whatever. Go walk around with the table like they told you." So they just walked across campus. They walked like 2 miles with a table, and the cops were like, "Hey, man, what are you guys doing with that table?" Which they had just stolen. And they were like, "Oh, we are pledges at the Beta House, and so we have to walk around with this table." And the cops were like, "Ha ha ha! Don't be stupid. Be safe, whatever." And then they walked out. They stole the table. They stole that table for months, man. So they held on to it for months, which is clearly theft. And then they were going to move, and there was this huge table that was in their house or their apartment. So we loaded it up in a pickup truck, and we drove it back, and we tossed it into the Beta's front yard, like in the middle of the snowy night one night at the end of the term. That's some dumb stuff.
Yes, the 20th century is fun.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks for taking my call tonight, Kat. Keep up the good work, man.
Yeah. Thanks for entertaining me and bringing back weird memories. I appreciate it, buddy.
All right, take care.
All right, have a good one. All right. There you go. You guys are just going to get all my goofy stories out. They're out there. I don't care. Doesn't matter. I'd tell them to you if we were sitting and having a drink, and I'll tell them to you while I'm sitting here and drinking this Dandy Brew chicory root tea thing that I have. I had an outstanding... if you guys are not doing carnivore, if you've been thinking about it and you're on the edge or you're like putting your foot in the water, sometimes it's really nice to have a steak. Sometimes it gets kind of old. It gets old like a lot, actually, if that's all you're eating, because all I'm basically eating is red meat. But I had a really good one today. I just cooked one up, and I'm feeling fairly pleased about that. So I got a nice warm beverage here. Phone line's open. If you guys want to give a call, obviously we just had one drop off, so the phone is available. You guys can pop in here and talk about anything that's in your heart. If you want to talk about eating goldfish and tell me your best goldfish story, I will listen to it, and we will share it with the audience. If you want to tell me that you think there are more than 26 shady confidential human informants that were there on January 6th, or you happen to be there on January 6th and you want to share your tale, by all means, jump on in. And I guess I'll dump the phone line back into the chat. So there it is again. I'm dumping it in the places where it can exist. If you're new to the program, it's 214-831-7631. Man, incoming. All right. And caller, you are on the air. You are live. Who am I speaking to?
TBH 14. I'm not talking bugs today, but I'm talking chicken.
Let's talk chickens. Let's do it. What you got?
I keep them in the coop because we have coyotes everywhere.
Okay.
And I go in there to feed them, and one of them bolts out. This is a skittish one. I call it a he/she because it hasn't laid an egg yet.
Okay. Unclear gender?
Yes, because I haven't gotten an egg out of it yet.
Okay.
And it got itself caught up in wire. I mean, it was about to snow and everything, and it got itself caught up in the wire, and I was able to catch it after my neighbor showed up, and I tossed it to him. But that was my day. But what do you think about these drones? Do you think that's an inside job thing?
I think that a military contractor... I think a military contractor is flying them. I think that's. I alluded to it a little bit today, but I probably wasn't that explicit on the podcast this morning. It seems to me, and I could be wrong, and I'm open to being wrong, but they talked around something very specific. The Pentagon spokeslady said specifically that it was not a foreign nation's equipment in the air, right? And also that it wasn't explicitly the United States military stuff.
Right.
That rules out all the things except one thing. What does it leave? It leaves Raytheon, General Electric, Boeing, whoever is out there that is flying around and playing with...
Halliburton, all the things.
Yeah. It basically gives you the possibility that somebody is testing something and it's being visible, and they got authorization to go use the military... What do they call that? The military airspace. There's a name for it. I think it's called a MOA, if my memory serves. We'll get a pilot to call and tell us, or tell us in the chat. But yeah, they. I think they're probably playing around with some technology that way. That's the most likely to me. I can't swear to it. I certainly can't confirm it.
Because nothing has absolutely happened with them.
No.
And what is it, 3.5 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
So they're just setting up a panic session for Trump.
Yeah, maybe. I think there's some arguments to be made in that space. I think that what we're seeing is there's just people that are testing stuff, and it's exciting to have mystery in the world, and it's better for you to not, really know what's going on than for you to have to explain it. So they'd rather you think. Look, if you go watch, there's an entire movie that's it's a documentary called Mirage Men. You ever seen that?
Nope.
Mirage Men is the story of the Air Force.
I don't have Netflix.
Okay, so Air Force OSI basically went out and did something pretty wild, which is to say that they just convinced people that they were seeing UFOs and interviewed them as such. When they knew what the thing was, and the thing was not UFOs, it was experimental aircrafts that they were trying to basically hide. So the government would much rather, there's certain parts of the government that would be far happier that you thought something was going on that was not, rather than you actually know the truth of what's happening there and hassle them with questions and things like that.
I don't know if it was you or Bongino that said, they're worried about cash getting in there because he's going to expose it all. It might have been you. I'm trying to remember. I
don't know who's going to be worried about it. There's no real reason to be worried about it.
To figure out that, Pete Hegseth, because
that is a bigger problem.
Out how vulnerable we are because we don't have the drone technology.
I think that is a real possibility. That is far more likely.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I seriously think that too, because I know I work for the government. I know how far behind they are in technology. I mean, the first week I went to work for the BLM, I had to run around and teach everybody how to work the brand new system they had, because I'm going, dude, I've been working on stuff like this since the 90s.
Did you have the same motto that we had at the Bureau for IT?
I don't know. Yeah, it's so antiquated, it's stupid.
Our motto was yesterday's technology tomorrow.
Yeah. Yes. Because they had just moved on to this, and we moved on to something like that out of the gold mines before I started working for the government in the 90s.
Yeah. No, that checks out. Yeah, government technology, amazingly, is not the thing that you think it is. It's not like some cutting edge thing. It's oftentimes like complete
high tech,
complete crap. Yeah, you're not sitting in some high speed. I have more high speed technology in the room that I'm sitting in right now than I dealt with in the FBI probably ever. So,
right, that was at the Bureau of Land Management the same way. I'm like, oh my goodness, even the timesheets. Oh, I was horrible.
Yeah.
It was so old and so antiquated. You couldn't even, I had an equipment operator that it literally took him all day long to figure out how to do his time sheet.
That's what I want to do. I want people tied up with administrative.
He's a computer tech.
That's right. Yeah, let people mess with antiquated technology. Don't worry about doing your job. Just make sure you get your timesheet right. Listen, as I was told the first day, the most important thing you fill out every day is your timesheet, or every 2 weeks, because that's how you get paid. Everything else is kind of negotiable, and you're like, that's a very low standard, but it is the standard. That's how the government plays, isn't it?
I know. It's like, it's so antique. So anyway, that's all I was going to say. I had to tell you the chicken story because it wasn't bugs this time. Chicken.
Listen, you live an exciting life. Not everybody can do it. It is the envy of all those around you.
Like my chickens, as long as they give me eggs. I didn't get any eggs today.
Yeah,
it is winter, and our high was like 19.
That sounds great.
It was really cold today.
I keep walking outside, and it's like it was in the 40s the other day. It was in the 30s overnight, and I walked out today, and it was in the 60s, and then I walk out the other day, and it was in the 50s, and then it got into the 40s, and then it's back in the 70s, and it's like, I just want winter to just not be schizophrenic.
I want winter. I want snow. I like a wet winter, not a dry winter. So
I just
right
like a
now, we have
winter that
big,
doesn't change its mind.
terrible dry winter. Right? Hey, I dated this dude that said, what do you expect? Mother Nature. It's a woman.
Yep,
Can't make up her mind.
That's the case in Texas. That is definitely the case. There may be a Father Nature somewhere else, but not here. Not here in Texas. It is ridiculous.
Yeah, they say we're supposed to get some snow, but we haven't seen it yet. So I don't know. We'll have to see what happens.
All right. Well, I hope you get your snow if you want it. I hope you don't get your snow if you don't want it. I hope that you get the weather that you hope for, but I don't think that we have a say in that.
Yeah. Do you know what else I have a problem with? Is sparrows. They're like flying rats. I call them rats.
Sparrows?
Sparrows. They keep getting into my chicken coop and eating all the food.
That makes you the first person I've ever had complain about sparrows, to me, at least.
Oh, my gosh. I actually was driving back from town yesterday and hit a whole bunch of them because they just flew right in front of my car.
Yeah, well, if they got to die, they got to die, right?
We have a huge sparrow issue right now. There's a lot of people complaining about it because there's so many. And I'm getting tired of feeding the damn thing.
Well, we just discovered the reason that you have a problem, so that's helpful. This is what I'm here for. I'm here to help you identify. The problem is you're feeding the damn things. Now you can't complain about them. That's like saying you're feeding the deer or the cats.
But I don't plan on feeding them. That's what my neighbor came to help patch off the last of the holes that they might be able to get into. And last time I looked out, there was only like one floating around in there. And I'll look out, and there's like hundreds of them in there.
This is a very strange problem.
Into their little house. I know, it's horrible. But anyway, everybody have a good night. Just thought I would call in.
Thanks for sharing your story. Good luck with your transgender chicken. I hope it all works out.
I know, it's like, give me some eggs. I'm supposed to have 5 eggs a day. I have 5 chickens. That's it.
All right. Well, I wish you the best.
All right.
And Merry Christmas early.
Have a good night.
You too.
Hey, you too.
All right.
Bye.
Good night. We're gonna free up the line. I just put the number back out into the various chats, and we're on YouTube right now. We're not usually on YouTube because YouTube censors us. But if you want to join us, I gave the number out there over on YouTube: 214-831-7631. 831-7631. Area code 214. It's a Dallas area code. No big deal. Discussion. You guys always have the strangest discussions that I see when I see the sort of thing that goes on inside our chat. It's like we're talking about a murder of crows and a kindness of ravens. All right, you're on the air. You're live. Who am I talking to?
It's Rose. Rose.
Hello, Rose.
Hey.
How are you?
I was a few minutes late because I thought you were on Elder still.
I escaped. And now I'm not. What do you got going on?
8:15.
What's going on in North Carolina?
Hey, it's schizophrenic weather.
Do you ever say kakalaka? What does that come from? No?
Kakalaka, I don't know.
You never heard that?
No.
Living in North Kakalaka? Is that not North Carolina? Isn't that what people say?
It could be. We have some weird names of cities.
Oh, my God. Someone's going to have to look this up for me now. Chat, do your work. Find out where the term kakalaka comes from. I know I've heard it. People talking about.
I will find out.
Yeah, well, they're going to find it out for you. You don't even have to research this. They got this.
We probably have a lake or something called that. We got some weird ones.
No. It's something weirder than that. I guarantee it. Kakalaka. It's a thing.
Kakalaka. I gotta have to find out now.
Mm-hmm. It sounds good when you say it too, though. You're like, where are you from? You're from. Oh, I'm from North Kakalaka.
I know. Some words are just fun.
They are. All right. What do you got going on in your world? What's happening out there? You're getting bad weather? This is not acceptable.
No. We had snow one morning when I woke up, but like at 4 a.m, there's snow on the roofs, but it was gone by later that day.
Sorry to hear that. Sorry for your loss. My kids would love that. They would love a little bit of that. So I'm sorry for your loss, that you lost all your little bit of snow.
Yeah, we don't keep snow. We get snow, but we don't keep snow.
That's fair. Yeah, that's North. That was New Mexico too. My kids don't remember living in Virginia, and when we lived in New Mexico, it would snow like a little dust, and you'd walk outside, and they were thrilled. They would just like try to scrape up a little bit of it off the artificial turf because we had fake grass because it couldn't grow where we lived because it was a desert. And they were like, "Look at this," and I'm like, "Kids, I got videos of you guys breaking the icy impressions of leaves off and eating frozen leaf and like leaf molds." Because the water would run down on the plants, and then it would freeze on the leaves, and then the waxy part would basically allow you to lift off the ice. And so you'd have this perfect replica of the leaf that was all frozen. And then my kids would eat them because they're, kids. And then...
they crumble.
No, not the ones that... Man, they were so good and hard in Virginia. They were like really hard, crispy ice. They were like little chips, but they were, the shape of like holly leaves and stuff. So the kids would eat them. And they don't even remember it because it's too long ago. They were little kids. I keep trying to tell them that even though that we're damaging them every day with shady and our best efforts at parenting, which is not ideal, that they won't even remember it. So like that's my sort of saving memory every day is that everything I'm saying, it's going to be feelings but no actual memories. What do you think?
They can come back to the show and like listen to everything.
They can, yeah. The internet's forever, isn't it?
Yeah. I'll be in Virginia New Year's.
You're going to Virginia? What part?
Near the naval base.
There's more than one naval
base. Bay.
Okay, because there's a couple of naval bases.
Yeah. Going to see my brother.
All right, fair enough. Is he going to be standing post on the naval base?
He lives... You can see the naval base from his house.
Okay.
He's right there on Chesapeake.
Okay, we got some updates on the Kakalaka. Are you prepared to receive this as a resident of North Kakalaka?
Yes.
I have not vetted this information. I'm just relaying it. North Kakalaka is a colloquial name for North Carolina in a lighthearted or humorous manner to poke fun at the perceived redneck ways of the South. It's a slang term often associated with fun or excitement, similar to boom shakalaka, which is used to express joy or triumph, especially in a sports context. This is Renzo. Renzo is just messing with us. I think it is a.
Thank you, Renzo.
I think it's a poke at the. And oh no, you didn't came up with a more accurate definition. I think. All right, I'm gonna encourage you to use North Kakalaka all the time from here on out.
I'll work.
From now on.
I'll work it into conversations.
Yeah, I just want people just to be like, back home in North Kakalaka, just, whatever. You can do it.
I got to go to South Carolina this weekend. So
South Kakalaka, obviously. Kakalaka, always good.
South Kakalaka.
South Kakalaka.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
They already know I'm kind of nuts, but that'll be fun.
Yeah, don't slow down. Just go full speed right at them.
Absolutely. I had actually a technical question for you.
All right. Well, technically, I could try, I suppose. Can't guarantee it.
For a starter, what would you suggest for like a microphone, camera, stuff like that?
What is the audience and what is the desired use of said microphone and camera?
My son has people already following him. He doesn't even have an account. People keep asking him to do a game.
Game stream?
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of these things that are called PTZ cameras. You can probably get one like the OBS bot, I think is what it's called, or it's called OS bot, something to that effect. You'll find them on there. They're about $200. So that's a good kind of start camera. You can move it around, you can pivot it into place, you can set it up in one place and then like adjust the actual angle. That's pretty easy to use. So it's somewhere between $50 and $200 for a webcam is not a bad start. I'm using something that's like a little bit more intense. I'm using 4K cameras and they're expensive, but that's the start. We started off with actually the best thing you can do is use your iPhone. If he's got an iPhone and he has a Mac, use continuity mode on that.
He's got both of those.
Yeah, so what you do is you go into continuity mode. So that's a thing that you enable AirPlay. You can look up, but the thing is called continuity camera. So if you look that up and follow the instructions, it's pretty straightforward. It's pretty easy to use. And for probably the first, at least 6 months, but maybe 9 months or so that I did the podcast, I stepped into using the iPhone 15. Is that what this is? Yeah, this iPhone 15 right here. So the one that's on my desk was the webcam. I just locked it into a brace, and I used that that was the camera. And then as far as microphones go, there's a lot of things you can do. A lot of people try to I think they spend money in the wrong places on microphones. If he wants the most adaptable, and he doesn't mind spending a little bit, or if you don't mind spending a little bit, the one that I'm using is called the Shure SM7B. This is the same one you see on like a million podcasts from Rogan down to Kyle Seraphin Show. So, the whole gamut uses this particular one. The best buy for the money that allows you to do two things is probably what's called the MV7 Plus, which is the next generation MV7. Yeah, so it's made by the company Shure, so it's a very good microphone, SHURE, and then it's Mike Victor, the number 7 Plus, and I recommend that one. They go between $250 and $300 depending on the day and the sale you find, whatever. If you do that, what it lets you do is it lets you use it for USB, so you can plug it into any computer anywhere and run it, no problem, and it'll give you great sound. And then the second thing is, when you do it, it will allow you to switch to XLR, which is the actual microphone cable that I use, and you can run it into a board or you can run it into an individual processor. And so you have that option as well. Mm-hmm. And so you can expand and basically increase the quality and use it for other things too. But it's a very good microphone for the money. And then if you need just the least expensive version that's just going to be if you just want to use USB and you don't want to grow with it, then the variety on that it's another Shure, and I think it's called, let me see here. It's the other one. It's another 7. So let me see if I can look it up for you. We'll do that right now. Hold on, I got a little thing. Let's see. I want to put in a formal request for going back to 5 days a week on the podcast, Kyle, says AP Brewer. Do you want to answer that one, Rose, while I figure out what this backup mic is?
It is. It is backup.
No. Answer the question. We have to understand what's being asked here. What do you think's going on there?
What's your question?
I don't know. Apparently, there's a formal request for us to go back to the original 5 days a week. Should we just say it's been granted? How do we deal with this?
Yeah, as you requested.
Your request has been granted. So I don't know what to tell you there, Brewer. Sounds like you're confused. Okay, so they've actually created a new one for gaming, which is called the MV6, not the MV7, but the MV6, and it's about $100 cheaper than the MV7 Plus. So that's an option for you too, and it looks like it's ready for all the things.
Some of the people that watch him without a channel even have already sent him money. Like, we're going to send you money. Please start your channel.
Yeah. Well, listen, if you want to do the upgrade version, you do have some options when you have a board, which is what I'm using. So there are ways you can spend a couple of dollars in cash to be able to get that stuff done. But if he's just going to plug it in and run on something like I use this on OBS. So that's what the people are used to seeing here. You're used to seeing my scenes that I've created on OBS, and you can run a game and a capture and everything else on that too. Then this thing is OBS ready and recognizable, and so they've actually certified it for use, which OBS is probably the single most common free streaming platform, and it's very powerful. It's just, it takes a little bit of time to learn how to use it. And once you do, it's pretty great. Actually, I mean, I learned how to do it. I asked Tracy Beans back in the day, hey, what are you using? And she said OBS, and I said, cool. And then I spent probably a couple hundred hours learning how to do it. And now I use it all the time, and I feel like it's like a native environment to be able to create scenes, and if I can imagine it, then I can do it. I just need to have the elements. So he'll learn how to do that if he wants. But MV6, I'll change that. I haven't used it, but it comes from Shure, and it's in the right price point for an opening microphone for a young budding social media streaming star.
Okay. Sounds good.
How do you feel about your kiddo being on in the public eye like that? What do you think of that? Is that good?
He's fine. He's not that young.
What is that young?
So he'll be all right. He's fine. What's that?
How young is that young?
He just turned 30.
It's pretty young. You sure it's going to be all right?
Yeah.
You just remember this.
Yeah.
I'm being sarcastic with you. The wild thing is that once you lose that anonymity, it never comes back. So there's that.
Right. I think gaming's a little bit different. It's more of a specific
weirdos.
group of people.
Yeah, I got you.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Gamers are kind of weirdos, aren't they?
Yeah, but they're not like political wackadoodles.
I do get some really good DMs though out of it. I got to tell you, they are the DMs. They are just fully wild. Get some really wild ones, and I've had even more wild ones since my buddy Ryan Matta decided to go down to Guatemala, and now I've got people.
Oh, imagine.
I'm like, good God, people, what are we doing here? Just stop, please.
That was a pretty cool interview, though.
What's that? His thing on
Guatemala.
Where he was on Redacted the other day?
Yeah, I saw that also. But a few days before that, he had an interview straight from Guatemala with talking to.
Yeah, I keep telling him not to get killed. Told him not to get killed.
I know, right? Right. And it's like, watch your back.
I legitimately reached out to my people to make sure that there are folks that are going to keep an eye on him. Because
I saw that. I was like, I felt better when you said that.
Yeah, well, he was telling me stuff, and I said, hey, man, I really liked getting to know you, and I guess I'll see you when it's all over. And he was like, oh, yeah. And I was like, yeah, they're definitely going to kill you over this. That's the kind of conversations that we have. And he sent me a text message the other day, and he was like, well, they're totally going to kill me for this one. And I said, well, good. At least you know you're messing with fire, especially when you're in Guatemala. Like, man, I don't dig on any Central American countries. I don't want anything to do with it. Too wild.
My parents used to go to Mexico, some remote resort, for 2 or 3 months out, during the winter.
It used to be something else.
Going there a few years ago.
I don't know. I don't want anything to do with it.
Now they go to Florida.
Right. I can see everything I need to in America. We got beaches, we got jungles, we got mountains, we got Indian ruins, we got whatever. I just don't need it. I got no excitement to leave this country right now. So.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I'm a little bit fixated. I need AP Brew to call in and tell us what kind of confusing message was lost in translation. How many weeks have we gone? We were only off the morning 5-day a week for 15 seconds. It was 1 week of K-Light savings time, and then we rolled right back into it. So
and it was still. Yeah, it was Monday. It was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. You only missed 2 days out of there.
That's right. I mean, my wife saw the other day. She didn't realize it. She was like, "Are you on episode 445?" And I was like, "Yeah." Yeah. And she's like, "Oh my God, that's a lot." And I was like, "Yeah, it is. We do. Yeah. We've done a lot of podcasts, haven't we?"
We have. And it's been pretty cool actually seeing how it grows. It's been growing and growing.
It is something.
There's certain shows you can tell, some of your interviews on other shows, you can tell we get a little surge of new people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I kind of gave up on doing other interviews for a while I was trying to get my house in order here, but I feel like it is. I'm kind of in this weird spot right now where I don't know what's going to happen in January, February. I explicitly
caught that this morning.
Yeah, I sent an explicit message. Just if it's being asked, I need it to be asked, and it needs to be clear what the ask is, and then we'll go and we'll get to work. I'll see this thing through. Mm-hmm. But I really don't want it. I really don't like. I don't like Virginia. I like North Kakalaka better than Virginia by a lot, I think. But I don't. I want to go to Montana instead. I may not have that choice, so.
Yeah.
Lemon was going to call in. Hold on. Lemon was going to call in and get the list. I want to hear I want to hear the list. It's not too late.
Is she ready to call?
I don't know. The phone number's been there. So, I can see if somebody calls in. I'll just bump you right off. I'll just say, hey, Rose. I'll say, Rose, you got to go. You got to go because we got to get the next round on. People try to leave.
I have no problem. I'll get as soon as somebody else calls. I'll get off.
Yeah, I know.
I can text Lemon and tell her to get on the call.
Yeah, get her butt on here so we can hear what the list is. I mean, we've been threatened with a list for a couple of weeks now, so.
I know, right?
I don't want to be threatened with a good time. Let's have the good time. Let's do it.
Oh my God! I just said that about Tillis on X.
What did you say?
He put up Tom Tillis, one of our senators.
Uh-huh.
I just said that about him. Don't threaten us with a good time.
That's right.
He was complaining about people putting pressure on about the nominees.
Yeah.
For the cabinet. He was saying you shouldn't be pressuring Republicans. Blah blah blah. They might not stay their whole terms. I was like, don't threaten us with a good time.
That's right. Yeah. No. Screw you guys. Do what we say. That's your job. Although the Senate is not supposed to represent the people, even though it does right now. It's not supposed to. So I get it, but still, I'd rather it just do what I wanted to do. That was going to bring me to something else, and now it's skipped away from me. This is the problem. I start looking at the chat and trying to figure out what's going on over there, and people start saying things. Yeah, no, it's gone. It's gone forever. Rose, you killed it. Let's get Zinger on. I want to know what this list of questions are. People going off. And...
I'll let you go. I'll let you go so I can text her.
All right, you jump off and text her, and then we'll expect her on the line here shortly.
All righty. Thanks.
Right. Nice chatting with you.
You too. Bye.
All right. Bye, Rose.
Be blessed.
You too.
Bye.
All right, Rose is off. The line is clear. Guys, we got to know what this list is. What in the world list are we talking about here? Also, I kind of want to know where my blues song went, which I thought was called something with a T. And I do like having a little blues song in between. So, kind of see if we can find it here. It's a shame. There it is. All right, enjoy. We're going to get this on while we get Lemon on the phone here. Come on, Lemon. Put it together. Bill T said it'd be hard to say no if they want me back. You don't think that's true, do you, Bill? You have any idea how easy it is to say no to stuff? It's very easy. But I will see this through if it's necessary. Waiting on Lemon. All right, let me put the numbers back out to all you all. There it is. Dropping into the chats. Jason says, what are my views on Israel? Indifferent. All right. Lemon came in, threatened us. Lemon threatened us with a list of questions and then disappeared off into the night. Very disappointing. Line's open if you guys want to make the call. I just dropped the phone number in. It's 214-831-7631. 214-831-7631. Not happening. All right, whoever's up next. I want to hear from Brewer. I want to know why you think that we were gone. How did you not know that we were on 5 days a week when we were never really not on 5 days a week? Oh, I get it. That's terrible. 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 All right, incoming call. Let's see what happens. Okay, you've got the line. Who is on my phone line?
It's Colleen.
Hello, Colleen.
Is this Colleen? Hello.
Welcome to the program.
Yeah.
Yeah. How you doing?
Except your face isn't moving the same as the voice.
What does that mean? Well,
Did
there's probably a delay.
Yeah, it's a big delay. So, quick question. I waited because I didn't want to have interrupt waiting for Lemon to call. Lemon, I don't know why you didn't call in.
Yeah, she's probably calling in right now. That's probably who's calling in, but that's okay. She's got to wait now.
Oh, well, my question's real quick. Listen, if you do decide to go back to your ex-girlfriend, obviously with a new set of rules, you have to make sure that you take all of our screen names and all of our Twitter names and you run them through that base and see how many of us have a file on us now.
Well, I'm just going to run and look for what's on me, which should include all the circles around it, one would think.
Okay. Because I'd be damn curious to know.
Yeah, so I got some intel today, which is very interesting, which is to say that the security investigations that they've been doing, which is the stuff they did to remove our security clearances, which is why I don't work there anymore, resulted in, guess how many spies did they find by going through and doing the insider threat routine on guys like me, but theoretically guys that were showing some sort of nefarious purpose. Guess how many?
27.
0. Goose egg. Aranjo Dave got it just right on the knot. Yep, none of them. They found 0 spies in the Bureau with all of their looking because they're looking for the wrong damn thing. Ain't that something?
That's fun.
Yep.
All right. Well, we'll let you go and let Lemon get back.
All right, let's see. If Lemon,
we want to know.
We're going to let Lemon jump in, or Lime, whatever citrus fruit is interested in calling in and giving me a list of questions. We're in for it. We're going to make that call happen. Colleen, nice chatting with you. And you're right. We will have to look into all these people.
Yeah. All right. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
All right. Take care.
Okay. We're dropping down and down and down and down. And okay. Okay, Lemon, you're up. You left a voicemail. I heard it. Listen, you got to jump in when the line is hot. Should we try to play I don't know if I can play the voicemail on this because I don't have my other cable. Here we go. All right. And lucky number round 2. Who am I speaking to?
Lemon.
Hey, with a list of questions. Hey. All right. I want to do I want to do my Luigi with the squeegee routine, but go ahead.
And it is funny.
Give it to me. What do you got? We got a list of questions. Let's start at the top. Let's start at the bottom. Start at the bottom. Work your way back up. Let's do it.
Okay. Hold on. I have to turn my pages.
This is a scroll, ladies and gentlemen. It's not like a regular list. It's a scroll. Go ahead.
It is not. It's an actual notepad paper, actually.
All right. Good enough.
I have carried one since my days on the department. I don't think I can ever not carry a pad of paper and pen.
Got to jot down your thoughts. Lemon, where are you at? What part of the world?
Southwest Florida.
Southwest Florida. Okay.
Yep.
Good. All right. Send it. I'm ready for you. I want some context.
It's freezing here.
Is it? It's Steve Friend freezing?
Oh, no. Well, yeah, but it's colder where he's at, so I'm 3 hours south of Steve's Friend.
So it's got to be what, in the 60s or something?
It's more like the 50s and then 40s at night, now.
Oh, my goodness. You poor thing. I actually ran in Pensacola when it was like sub-freezing and it was like blowing wind and water and it was really kind of crappy out. And I thought, this is cold as shit for Florida. But yes, all right, we'll give you credit. 50s is like my favorite one.
That makes me suspect.
Yeah.
Because Pensacola, they run one of the biggest alcohol rehabilitation centers out of there. You know that, right?
No, I didn't. I went there because there were a bunch of Saudi Arabians who were involved in killing off naval airmen. So that's why I went there.
Well, that's another good reason.
Yeah, that's we all have reasons, right?
Yeah, of course.
All right, hit me with these questions.
right.
Let's see what we got.
Just lately, why don't you ever post where you're going to be, when you're going to be, at the time you're going to be at, so we can not just get the content of your podcast, but go watch you about something on somebody else's, even if they don't have it on that day, and you just don't know, no big deal. But at least we know like when it's going to be posted, and don't you know when it's going to be posted?
No, I don't know when. 2, probably distraction and or laziness. 3, too many pies in the air at all times. I always feel like I'm triaging like what I can and can't keep up with. And like for example, today I've got a piece coming out that I did an interview with for Fox. I did an interview with PJ Media. I did a podcast with Moms on a Mission. I did Brianna Morello's show, and I did Larry Elder's show. So it's just like if you catch me, you catch me. Like, if you want to hear what I really think, you listen in the morning on the podcast. If you're trying to find me somewhere else, then I just pop up places. Half the time I don't know what it is, and I don't know when they're going to run it. A lot of times people do stuff to tape. You know, it's a mixture of live to tape for today. I was on the Blaze the other night, but yeah, I just don't look in the rearview mirror. I'm just tackling the things in front of me. I shoot the target in front of me, and I keep moving to the next target. And I have no idea how many I did, which is the funniest thing in that discovery that we had with the DOJ lawsuit. It's like, I have no idea. I just don't know. It's like, how many podcasts have you done?
You're just showing off.
I just don't know. It's like
one day.
I did like a ridiculous week. I remember where I did 25 interviews. I did 5 a day for 5 days in a row, and I was like, what? And it was a mixture of like 5-minute hits on TV and like hour-and-a-half long podcast, long form, and just like really small to really big audience. Everything from like somebody that has a dozen subscribers to like Fox News. I blew it out of the water, and I have no idea how many I've done, and I can't keep track of it. It's just too much for me to worry about it. I'm sorry. I need a publicist. I need someone that does that, but I would never think that was reasonable.
Well, I can send you a pad of paper and a pen.
I had that. I had a whole notebook of it, and I got really good at it for a while, and now it's just too much to manage. And or I guess I don't know. I don't care that much. I should care more.
All right. Good enough.
That's the honest answer.
That's all I want. Honest, whether good, bad, ugly. Honest.
Fair enough. What else you got?
Have you ever done anything with Joe Rogan?
Never been invited. Never been asked. Never had the opportunity pop up. I've known a bunch of people that have been on there. People who have been on there have been to my house, and they've never referred me. I feel like I'd be a good guest too. We'd have fun.
Me too.
Well,
that's why I thought maybe I missed it somewhere along the way.
It would be good. It'd be great if that was an opportunity. It hasn't popped up, so whatever's going to happen is going to happen. So maybe it'll happen after whatever the next phase is, or maybe it'll never happen. And
maybe you got to make it really big.
I guess so. The thing is, he has some like really strange, obscure people on his podcast, and he's got some that are huge. So Joe's an interesting guy. I don't know who goes out and scouts for them. I've had other, large programs obviously approach me before, but not his. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, a few months ago, or a month or so ago, 8 weeks, 16 weeks, you did a program on, and I should have, had I thought, as I remembered today was Thursday. See, that's my problem. What the hell day of the week it is. So if I remember today was Thursday, I would have went and looked. But specifically, you said something, and it was about those gold IRAs and how these companies, they try to get podcasters or companies to push them, and they get a percentage, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Well, is that every podcaster that I see that has them on there is getting a percentage?
Probably. I don't know. I haven't looked at all their deals.
That makes me... But does that...
But that's what they do.
That gives you then you can advertise more and you get out there, and that's how they got so big. I mean, some people exploded from absolutely nothing to holy crap. And it's kind
in other words,
amazing.
was it because they had more money that they were able to explode?
Well, that's what I'm wondering.
I don't think it's money, although I think there's a couple of things that happen. There's an organic virality to some types of presentation, the unique time and place that it hits people, and they go and they get very excited about it. So that's part of it. But there's also an information op that's part of it, I think. And I don't have any science behind this. It's just my gut instinct. But what my belief is that there are certain messages that are appropriately conflicting, that they are kind of controlled op type, not because they are actually being controlled, but because they control people by being in the space, like by being available to the mind, and they can be a welcome distraction for whatever is going on. So the way that you work an info op, there's a couple of them. There's one that you seed accurate information, right? So you're giving accurate information, but nobody believes it. That's kind of good. There's accurate information that people believe, that you want them to believe. There are things like disinformation. It's intentionally dishonest information that you're putting out there on purpose, and you want people to believe it. But then you've got stuff like people who are saying things that are misinformation, the inaccurate, but they don't know it's inaccurate. They think it's right, and they get promoted, and they grow in a way that is sort of doesn't make a lot of sense to us that are watching. Either they don't have any particular reason why anybody should be watching them. They're not particularly talented or whatever it may be. And you see some of these things grow. And I think there's something behind that. I don't have any evidence of it other than I've talked to people in the information sort of warfare space that have stated that it is almost assuredly the case that some things get promoted, and those people, like imagine if Alex Jones blows up, because you want a conflicting voice like an Alex Jones out there. But Alex Jones doesn't know why he blew up, that kind of thing. So there are places that you see, and it's like there's not a lot of talent there. It's not compelling to me, but it is compelling to others. I mean, I was listening to a program on Rumble the other day where there is a female prophet lady. Like I was choking. I was like, this is horrible. She's saying really dumb stuff and things that are completely illogical.
I think I listened to the same one.
I don't know what her name is, but I clicked through it because she had something like 27,000 people listening to her. And I just went, what in the shit are we listening to here? And it was just dumb. It was very low capability. But I'm sitting there listening to it, and I'm going like, oh, okay. I don't know who's promoting this or why it's got a following. Maybe there's some dumb people that want to listen to dumb stuff. That's certainly a possibility. I can't hold that against them. But there's also some stuff that seems to have gotten...
Or their monotone and want to take a nap.
Yeah, there's I'm not everybody's audience, and everybody's not my audience, and I've accepted what that looks like. So there's a specific kind of person that wants to hear what I have to say, and I have a very specific thing that I want to listen to, too. I had somebody ask me the other day about a podcast. I'm like, I don't really have a lot of time for podcasts. When you're making one, it makes it far less interesting to sit and listen to others. So people send me shows all day long, and it's like, you don't have a lot of time to grab my attention in it. I do like listening to Rogan's format. I do find it fairly compelling, the long form, but I've got to be in a place where there's nothing there. I got to be driving or, going somewhere, and I don't have downtime anymore. I run this little, I run a little media and information operation out of my own space, and I am doing interviews and answering questions and helping reporters get sources. And I'm working and looking at stuff on Twitter, and I'm grabbing information for the next day. And by the time it's all said and done, like I don't have a lot of downtime where I'm just sitting there like trying to absorb information in verbal form. I read a ton of periodicals, a ton of them, because I'm constantly sifting through news, but I got to be able to scan it quickly and move past. I can't listen to somebody else's take on it. And I less and less am interested. I want to see what their take is in writing. So it's got to boil down very quickly. So I look at Substacks and I look at, posts and stuff like that. But anyway, that was more than your ask, but that's the story.
I do. I read a lot. I listen to. Yours is the only podcast I sit down and listen to with my full attention. Everything else is with a half an ear, listening to the news, listening to a podcast, and reading the newspaper from everywhere. And it's not because I have a format to present it to anybody or that I care to, but just that because I'm nosy and I want to know what the hell's going on.
Well, you're curating your own news feed, which is
that we live in.
Yeah, you're curating your feed, which is what you should do. And I'm flattered that you listen to mine with full attention. That's very thoughtful. I appreciate it. I feel like I put time into it.
I will say this.
Go ahead.
I don't know how much time you put into it,
But Kyle, you are the only person that can go from segment to segment to segment without skipping a beat, losing a beat, tripping, and you talk at a level in which my brain moves. So if I miss a show, or if I think your show's running slow because it might be you're just that kind of guy that day, slow talking, I will wait and put your video at 1.5 or 2.5 for me to be able to absorb the information that much quicker, because that's how fast I feel like my brain moves a lot of the time.
I'm in the same boat. I'm constantly feeling like kind of a frenetic thing. Yeah, the theory is, and this is whether it carries out as another animal, but the way that I want to talk about it is I want to say what I have to say. I don't want to say it more than once. I know a lot of places I listen to, they repeat the same shit over and over and over again, and they just keep hammering it. Now, if I'm telling you a theme and I want to go back to a theme to be able to say, point A is going to connect to point B, and then point C, I may go back and tell you A again over and over again because I'm making that line for you. But if that's not what's going on, I don't just repeat things to hear my own voice. And I do feel like a lot of radio does that. And I listen to a lot of radio. I grew up listening to radio. When you hear people repeat stuff, I get bored. As an adult, I don't have time for it. I can change the channel. I can find a million other things to use my time. I've got 16 tabs open on my desktops right now, and I have two 35-inch widescreen monitors that are in front of me that are just like I'm surrounded by information at all times. I've got 4 chats running right now. We've got YouTube, we've got the X chat up, we've got the live chat from Rumble, and I've got the locals, and I'm looking at all of them at all the time. Like even as you're talking to me, I'm kind of scanning with my eyes. I get bored of hearing the same thing, and I don't want to say the same thing. So I guarantee people bring me things all the time, and they go, "Oh, well, like, why don't you say this?" And I'm like, "I did, but it's like that was a couple weeks ago, man. Like, I'm already over that shit. I said it already. I said it. I put it into the world. If you want to go listen to it, great. And if you missed it, that's okay too. I'll come back to it when it's more relevant again. But I'm not going to sit there and bang on the same drum every single day because I'm trying to get a message to somebody. If you want the message, it's available to you. If you got more things going on, so do I. So I feel the same way. And that's a unique taste. It's probably an acquired taste. It's not for everybody. I get it. But I'm appreciative that
I'm
it
done
works for
with
you.
that. I can remember what you say. And if I don't, I can go back and look it up. I remember Encyclopedia Britannicas. So
yeah.
And I go to the library.
I used to read encyclopedias like a complete nerd. I would just pull out a book and I would just pick through a letter and I would just go. So
yes.
Yep.
Yes. I do that with cookbooks right now. When I'm bored and I want to make something new, I start reading the cookbook, and my husband go, "What the hell are you doing?"
Well,
and I'm like, thinking of things for feed you. What do you mean?
Well, it sounds like you got the same kind of brain instinct that I have. My daughter has this too, my oldest daughter, and it's a need for information. It's a consumption problem, and it's kind of hard to turn that machine off to go to sleep at night. But if you're constantly trying, like I used to read cereal boxes when I was a kid. I used to put the cereal box in front of me and read every damn ingredient and try to figure out what the hell it was. And I would try to memorize all of the ingredients, and I would memorize like the amount of US RDA so it was standard, so that I could sit there and when I'd look at something else, I'd know what the RDA was, even though that was all bullshit stuff. But I wanted to just take in numbers and compare things because my brain needed an activity. I needed it.
Yes. Well, when I became a farmer and I got into husbandry, I got on the USDA and the Department of Agriculture websites, and I got information download. So I spent a lot of time reading about stuff that wasn't going to be my capability because I'm not running a combine around.
Right.
I'm chasing bees down. I've got hundreds of thousands of bees, and they all have numbers and names if you want to know.
That's good.
Anyway, I'm kidding, man, because everyone asks, well, your bee, it was your bee that did this. Your bee stung my kid. Well, did you get a name or the number off the back?
Yeah.
I'll tell you if it's my bee. Come on, retards.
People are retarded.
I got one last question for you. Yes.
Fire away.
I got one last question, and I won't, and this is off topic of everything I've just asked you about, but Chuck Schumer, and I don't know if you've read the article, but it came out in the Gateway. No, it didn't. Red State or the Gateway.
Okay.
So Schumer is trying to push through legislation on Social Security, and it's called the windfall, what is it? Social Security Fairness Act.
Okay.
Which will essentially cancel out the windfall elimination tax, which I believe that you might suffer from because you did in fact have your credits in as a kid because you've done everything from mow lawns to manage restaurants and everything in between. Then you went to your federal job. Did your federal job pay into Social Security or no?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yep. Yeah, everything did.
You did?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, federal jobs pay into Social Security.
Holy shit, because I worked for the city government. I worked for the city of Detroit.
Okay.
And I always called it taking out the trash, but I was in law enforcement. I was running after them, tackling them, the whole 9 yards.
Uh-huh.
But I started late. They called me grandma in my academy class because I was the oldest. But I had already had a career in the medical field. I already did the nursing, the ICU, the ER, the adrenaline jump. I needed another adrenaline jump. Plus, I needed to change things financially to make sure that when I'm old, like today, I have something. I didn't have there wasn't a pension system to look at. There wasn't really a 401k in the medical system, and this. I was going to be able to make leaps and strides. Back then, when I was in the medical field, there was problems with licensing and all this other stuff. So I just wondered if you were going to be affected. And I did read that many of the federal employees who are now getting bumped up and burrowed into the FBI through Chris Wray and his demonistic ideas, they're going to be Kash Patel's, lever of stoppage, I guess. But, the way they did it is they were able to join the unions so they could bargain for better union packages if they lost their job. And I was wondering if the federal government that you worked for paid into Social Security, does that affect your bottom line? Should you, because now, if you've paid into both sides, you should get the full thing, even though you work for the government, right?
Yeah, so I don't.
You get it?
I'll have to look into that the windfall tax situation or the windfall act. I don't know about it, and I did pay into Social Security. I always paid into Social Security when I had federal jobs. That was standard. I've paid into it since and before and after, so that's all not going to be a big deal. There's no union for the FBI. You're not allowed to be in a union if you work for the FBI. And so that's not going to be something they can do. There's no union that's going to be able to thwart Kash Patel. There are people that are trying to get into place to be able to do what they want to do. And if they ever listen to my show, and some of them might just be listening tonight. So if you happen to be listening and you're part of the FBI and you're thinking, we're going to resist him, you're probably not. You're probably not listening to be figuring out what's going on. But on the outside chance that somebody is, you might want to play ball. I think you're going to find that Kash is a great guy and that the things he can do for the Bureau are going to actually make it a better place to work. So that's my encouragement. And if you choose not to, then the consequences are going to be the consequences, but it's going to be self-imposed. I don't think it's really going to be like retribution or people coming after anybody. So I'll just throw that out there. But I'll have to look into the Schumer thing. I appreciate you bringing it to my attention. I'll add it to my list of things to go and hunt for. Sometimes news stories come to me, and sometimes I get something recommended that I got to go find. So I'll put this on my list to go find.
Well, if you don't have time for it, that's fine.
No, it's interesting. I think retirement stuff and the way that if Schumer's into it, it probably benefits somebody that's not me.
Yes, and it seems like it would benefit me, but I'm just not so sure. That's why I wondered if you knew anything about it, because I didn't know. When he's talking about governmental employees that didn't pay into Social Security, well, which one are those exactly?
Yeah.
Just the cities?
Yeah.
We'll
look into it. That's a worthwhile thing
for the cities.
I've got enough people that are either retirement or close to retirement in the audience age that's worth looking into. So I'll take a look at it and I'll see what we can come out to, and I'll run it by my folks that I deal with that are my money people. There are things that I'm not the expert on, but I do have friends that are. And so that's kind of, there's things I know and there's things I don't. And when I don't, I got a good brain trust to go to. So I'll ping it against them and see what they think.
Thanks, Carl. Appreciate that.
It's my pleasure.
I have to say, you did miss out on an excellent jar of honey. I have sent them to several of your listeners who thoroughly enjoyed them.
Oh, I have no doubt. I have no doubt that I missed out on an excellent jar of honey. We've been trying to kind of balance what is the route to maintaining kind of a little bit of a security barrier, not having, because there are certainly possibilities of people popping up at the house. I don't know why people would, but it's more of,
I ain't coming to your house.
No, I understand that. No, I know.
Don't invite me. I'm not coming then either.
It's kind of like,
Sorry.
what is the appropriate way? The right thing to do would have been getting a P.O. box, which I honestly, I didn't think I was going to be in Texas as long. I didn't think I was going to be here for 2 years, doing this for 2 years in this way. I thought I was going to be somewhere else, like, 9 months ago, and I was going to have a new space, and then we would have set up the P.O. box. And so, in any case, the best laid plans of mice and men are often scoffed at and laughed at by the creator. And so I'm just riding the wave. I don't know what the wave, I don't know where it's going. I don't know when the shore hits,
we'll
but
enjoy it.
We're coming to the shore at some point, someday. We'll all hit it. So at some point, I may have to take you up.
Yeah, anytime.
I appreciate it.
All right, brother. Take care.
All right. Yes, ma'am. Thanks so much.
Later.
All right. There we go. Well, that's nice. That's nice to know. Also, some of you tell me that I'm the only podcast you listen to, and that is really flattering. And I mean that. It is flattering to know, because who's got time for all kinds of things? Oh, if you just dialed in, call back up. We'll take the phone call. The line is open. Back open again. I'll go ahead and throw the phone number here into the chat again, so you guys, somebody will come in and snap up that opportunity to tell me something they got going on. And how about over on YouTube? We'll send it over to you all on YouTube. Studio line. All right. I really don't. I don't have time for podcasts most of the time, and I appreciate that people do take the time to listen to some, if it means something to you, and it seems like it's meant a lot to a lot of people. It means a lot to me. I got to tell you, I was just sitting there thinking about the opportunity of sitting here versus the opportunity cost of having to go into an office and working for somebody else, even if it's for a good cause. I had people tell me that the FBI was the best job in the world, and it certainly wasn't the best job that I ever had in the world. And it probably wasn't the best job that a lot of people did if they didn't know any better. There are far more interesting things, and sitting here and being able to communicate with people and share both information and things that are analysis that makes you think, even if you don't agree with me, which I'm totally okay with. That's the other fun thing. I don't need to convince you. I'm just telling you what I think. And if it changes your mind, or you think you should change my mind, that's okay too. I'm okay with that. Let's jump in. And next caller on the line. 2 at once. Okay, we got the phone available. Who's on the line?
Hello, sir. My name is whatever 007, also known as Mark.
What's up, buddy? What are you doing?
I'm just having fun, man.
Yeah, you
How
are.
You?
I'm doing well. We're having a nice night. What's in your?
It's great to hear your voice.
Likewise. What's on your mind? What do you got going on in your world? What's happening in the southern part of the Central Texas region?
Oh, I'm 30 minutes way southern of Liberty Hill in Lakeway, Texas.
Oh yeah.
Not much going on, man. Just happy to say hello. Really.
What happens in Lakeway right now? Is everybody decorated up? Are they ready for holiday season? Does it feel like it's beginning to look like Christmas, or are you getting that schizophrenic thing doesn't make it work for you?
I had my son, who's 8 years old, he's 8 years old, telling me that he's like, yeah, I'm not really feeling the vibe. I'm not really feeling the Christmas spirit. I'm like, well, dude, 2 things. One, it's about Jesus coming into our world and as a result absolving us of our sin. And 2, it's about the joy of giving. And he's like, oh, okay, cool.
Got it. Thanks, Dad. Good to go. Attitude adjusted.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I told my 7-year-old that I would take her shopping and we would go out and pick out some gifts for her siblings. And then she immediately came up with a list of people that she wants to go shopping for. She's like, we're going to shop for this friend of mine and this person and this neighbor. And I was like, whoa. Yes, maybe, but probably not. Let's reel this thing in just a little bit, darling. We're not on, what did our parents say? I'm not made of money.
Yeah, they should know a lot of things like that were all good for us, I think.
Yeah, there's a limited sphere of influence. I was going to say this. This year has been a pretty good year for our family, I think, and in a financial sense, even though our dollar is going less and less far, and like looking at the grocery store, like it makes me sick. Some of the things we're paying for and what it costs to get it. You're like, holy crap, are we serious? But it's been a meaningful year in so much as because of all the stuff that we've had going on, and I've got all these random little things that come in and contribute to the overall income. And this is just generally transparency because it's just, I don't know how to talk otherwise, but I make a little bit of money here on Twitter, and I make a little bit of money from Rumble, and I make a little money from this, a little bit from that. And because of all that stuff all adds up, it's like we were able to take care and help people that nobody will hear of. And I don't want to say anything about it. I just it's just cool to be able to do something. Because I always figured you always think like, hey, if I had a bunch of money or if I made more money than I do right now, what would I do? But it turns out, like, we kind of found out what we would do. We would help people out that were around us that needed help, and people that reached out to us and said, can you help? And we said, yeah, we can. Doggone it, we actually can. We're going to get right on that right now. And that's pretty cool. That's kind of a nice thing.
It's an awesome thing. It's a powerful thing, actually.
It's way more rewarding than having money in your bank account is being able to make sure that friends around you are not suffering. It turns out. That's been
100%.
That's been 2024 for me.
Well, you probably know better than I do about that. But I'll tell you this, man. I gave my wife grief because grocery store prices are so high. I went to the fridge and I grabbed a bucket of Parmesan cheese, and it was like $9.88. Had a label on it, and I was like, "Love, my wife, what the hell are we doing buying Parmesan cheese for $9.88?" She's like, "I don't know. It sucks too. I can't explain it, but it's awful.
It's crazy." Yeah, the other wild thing is, you could probably go buy that same. You could probably buy a block that would give you 2 or 3 times as much because you probably have the shredded Parmesan, right? So you could go.
Yeah, yes.
You get the block of hard cheese and like a microplaner, which is the Seraphin House technique. So you could go do that, I'm sure, right? Because I married an Italian gal, but it's still expensive as block of cheese. It's probably $14 for the damn block of cheese, and you're just going like, "Good Lord, it doesn't have that much utility. Yeah. It's not that good."
No,
it's just not.
No, it's crazy. It is fully crazy. I feel like now HEB, which, as you know, and for the others listening, HEB is like the grocery store of Texas. It is it's instead of like the old school like $1 dollar store. It is like the $9 store. You pick out whatever you want, but it's a $9 store.
It's going to be $9 for that blick of cheese. It's going to be $9 for the bucket of salsa. Yeah. Everything is pretty pricey.
Exactly.
Times are tough when the HEB is not the most affordable place because it's not a real fancy place. That's what people have to understand. It's like, it's nice. It's nicer than like a garbage. It's not Aldi's.
Yeah, it's nice. But I think what they've done is like they followed some of like the I don't know, the big business sort of mantra where like they sort of got in low and got people's mindsets that they're like cheap or affordable at least. And I remember like doing my MBA back in the day, like 20 years ago. And the marketing guy from HEB spoke at our business school. And basically it's like, they're putting forth this sort of mantra, this sort of like ethos that they're like the affordable place, but only to up the prices when things get tougher. That's what it feels like, at least.
It's brutal. Yeah. What is more appropriate for our community call-in show than 2 dudes talking about grocery stores? Because I think that's the kind of egalitarian nature we offer here.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
We love everybody.
We're men who will also talk about groceries. I just want everyone to understand exactly.
Damn right.
Yeah.
Damn right.
People are talking about Bongino an awful lot in our chat that's running on. What am I missing? What's been going on with is Dan going off the rails? Is he doing okay?
Well, listen, man. You might see if you ever see my chats when it comes to Devon, I always say Devon is a D-bag, and therefore I don't give a rat's ass what Devon is saying.
I'm more worried about him. I was initially kind of injured by the sort of stuff that went down because I thought it was out of the character that I assessed. It's not often that you get somebody totally wrong. Or they act in a way that is
Totally.
very, you know what I mean? Like people show you something.
It's so disconcerting. It's so disconcerting when that happens. I get you.
It really rattled me because I went like, man, I missed that. Yeah. And maybe I wanted to miss it, I guess.
Yeah.
But
well, it's hard when you're getting some plaudits from people to then turn around and be like, oh, that guy might suck. Because you want to believe that they're right because they're telling good things about you. But I will say this, man. That guy, fundamentally, here's the deal with Devon. He's a radio guy. He's a radio guy who talks about himself incessantly. If you listen to his podcast, and I stopped because I couldn't take it anymore, it's like, well, I felt this way and I felt that way. Here's what I'll tell you guys about what I was thinking when this happened to me. It's like, dude, no offense, I don't give a fuck about what happened to you. I want to know the news.
He used to do that. You know, the thing is, what's funny is I feel for Joe too. Joe Armacost, who I've never met. I've never even spoken to. And I didn't really like his bit that he did on the show. It was my least favorite part of Dan's show. It's one of the reasons why I didn't listen as much as some people do. Because whenever he would throw it, he'd be like, like Joe, and like, no, you know, and then Joe would be like, oh, is that right, man? Is that right, Danny? Is that true? Is that, it's like, it was this weird, like, kind of like primary, secondary guy thing, and it was this shtick they did, and I didn't.
You know what it was? You know what it is?
What's that?
It's like, it's a worse example of Joe Rogan and Jamie. I think Jamie has the worst job on earth. Jamie is Joe Rogan's guy who, like, whenever Joe Rogan, like, starts talking about some random thing, he's like, Jamie, pull it up on the screen. Jamie, Google search this topic that I just talked about 2 seconds ago.
Right.
It's the worst job ever.
I don't think that would be that bad. Honestly, I would, if you have a naturally curious mind and you're following the conversation, but you want to know more about what's going on. Like, so when I did the original couple of podcasts we started off with, whatever they were, with producer Phil, he was constantly pulling stuff up without me asking. He's just intuitive on that. He understood what I was about, and he was like, aha, boom. And so he would nail it. So having someone there that anticipates your move, I don't think that's the worst thing for certain people. It would be the worst thing for you, but I don't think it's necessarily the worst thing for Jamie. I don't think Jamie hates that. But I mean, what do I know? No one ever asked me. So.
Well, it isn't, and I don't know either, obviously. But my sense is, like, it's the worst thing because it's like you are beholden to whatever the whims of Joe Rogan are at that moment. And yeah, if you can anticipate, great, fantastic. If you can't, you are like scum, as Joe Rogan points out to like 20 million people, that you're delayed on the providing the research. It's just like a.
Yeah, you're on the spot.
It's one of those, like,
it's not the worst thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I could see there being worse jobs. I've probably had them, and you've probably had them too. Joe filled the role. The thing that I felt bad about was that Joe disappeared. And, he kind of just got told off. And so for me, I like not knowing what happened, and I just asked a question, and I got kind of the generic answer. And I wasn't on the inside to be able to, I didn't have any right to know the answer. I was just curious, because I care about human beings, and I just went like, oh, okay. Like, oh, I guess so. There he goes. He's gone now. And as I understood it, he moved his whole family down to Florida, and he finally made a move after, 8 years? And he's only there for a couple of months, and then everything goes sideways. And I don't know, like, did Joe change? Did Dan change? Because it felt like there was a different animal talking to me after halfway into this year, right around that sort of March. He reached out and he said something to me like, we have to put this behind us, after I took a stab at James O'Keefe, which I would take 10 times out of 10, because James O'Keefe is a lying scumbag. That's really easy. He called me demonic, which is hilarious.
Fact check true.
Yeah, fact check is true. So it's like, okay, fine. Like, and then he was like, we have to put all this behind us. Like, I don't have to put anything behind us. Like, 1, I don't work for you. 2, I'm not beholden to you. And 3, what I said is true. And it's backed up by evidence. People can make up their own damn mind. He was doing creepy things, running around on his old, his gal. He was doing shady stuff in DMs. He was banging chicks all over town. He's got an IRS investigation into him now because he misused nonprofit funds. That's just, new disclosure to everybody who's listening right now, which is not very many of you. Like, he's got some real problems, and he might have some real consequences, because, screwing around with nonprofit funds is a really good way to get on the IRS's revenue, especially when you're talking about 6-7 figures. So, sorry, James.
Well, you know what?
Don't be a dumbass.
I hope you're right.
No, I know I'm right. I know that they're investigating it. Whether they come up and decide to charge it is another animal. But he blew it.
Well, I don't disagree one iota. I just hope you're right either way.
Listen, at the end of the day, I don't have to go out there and get vengeance. I'm not even looking for vengeance on the people in the FBI as much as I've moved past that. You know what I mean? Here's what I think.
No,
God sees it all in the end.
One thing I want to I want to put it out there.
Okay.
Actually, this is a good point. We need to reject any notion of vengeance because they came after us. They came after the right. They came after you, more importantly, way more than me at all, because I haven't come after at all, or Trump for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
They came after the right in a malicious way.
Mm-hmm.
We need to. There's no retribution. There is still that we come after them for true unlawful acts. And we need to not pretend there's a false equivalence between what they did to us and what we do to them. What we might do to them is actual lawful prosecution of their maliciousness. That's a different animal. There's no equivalence between what they did to us and what we might do to them.
Yeah, I think the word that we're dancing around the word, but the word is it's accountability. There has to be accountability because things need to be rectified so that people say that there's a right and a wrong, and this is right and this is wrong, and this is how you get dissuaded from doing things that are wrong. So that's critical.
Exactly.
But it doesn't need to be done with animosity. It doesn't need to be done with hatred. In fact, and if you believe in a Christian worldview, which I know we share, the thing that's the hardest part about Christianity, the single hardest thing about it, is the redefinition of what strength is. It's the redefinition of what winning looks like, because Christ won by losing. And it turns everything on its head from what all of our instincts tell us, right? And so to try to live in that way, it's freaking hard. It's really hard. It's it's the most opposite. It turned the rules on their head, and our nature says we want vengeance and we want to go and make people suffer as we did and so on. And we're encouraged to turn the other cheek, not because of weakness, because it means we own them on that. It's like we are setting an example, and now you might have won on the world, and you have to live in the shame of what you did. And so there are many people that have to deal with the shame of what they did, but we don't have to shame them. They've already shamed themselves. You just have to do the right thing and keep showing it. So it's very interesting to try to live in the space at the same time, because I also do not want that same thing to come down on my children, right? So accountability without malice is going to be a real challenge. It's going to be a big deal for you. It's going to be for the rest of the audience. It's going to be for me. It's going to be for Americans, writ large, and certainly for Donald Trump, because there were some really bad things that happened, and we can't go out there and stick it to them and spike the ball. We can go score the points, though, and we can have the referees call the game fairly. That's not the same thing. So it's very difficult to make that distinction for a lot of people because emotion gets involved.
That's exactly right. I think we have to hold them to account, but be clear, we're not doing that in any sort of malicious way, the way they did to us. It's just purely, hey, if you broke the law, if you abused your power, you're in our crosshairs. You're going to go to jail.
Yeah, these are consequences for the action, but you chose them, not us. And that's
exactly right.
And we're going to hold you accountable, but we're
a little bit lazy.
Yeah.
I think sorry, buddy. We're being a little bit lazy in how we message that. I think we're acting as if they can kind of, maybe it's okay. We're tit for tat. No, it's not tit for tat at all. It's not even close to that. They were malicious and we are not, and we are righteous. And that's important to distinguish.
Yeah, not all the time are we righteous, but when things are righteous, Katie just said, there's a standard, and then everybody has to meet the standard. And this is what should be the march forward. It's like accountability. There are some people that are below the level of scrutiny too. It's like, look, we have a certain amount of energy, we have a certain amount of time on this earth that we can devote to this. So some people are going to skate by, and they're going to get away with it. They didn't really get away with it. That's the upside. All of their accountability will happen at some point. But the people that need to be held accountable for the good of society, that standard needs to be enforced. It needs to be held, and it needs to be marched out. And I think it will. But like you said, not in a vindictive way. And then also, people need to not also pussyfoot away from it. You can't hide from it. I always see it's really interesting.
We can write down.
You've done sales, right? Is my memory correct?
Yes, sir, I have.
So, at some point you've earned the permission to ask for the sale. At some point, somebody has told you enough things that you have earned the permission to say the next thing that is your part of it, that what you want. And, that's what's been earned right now. The left, the people in the political left, particularly those that have been sitting in our government that have used it against, they've earned the right to be held accountable. So we're going to give it to them. We need to. And we need to do it, like matter of fact. Hey, this is coming. Here it comes. Enjoy.
100%, man.
Yeah. And but it does, in the same way that you should probably breathe out before you have to discipline your son or your daughter and give them a spanking that they need. In the same way you don't do it out of anger, you do it out of pity. And you're like, this is being driven on me and I don't have a choice. Like, you chose it. These are the consequences. And it's for your own good. It is actually for the good of the political left to see consequences on people that stepped out of line if they want things to be able to continue. Because as you and I would both agree, if it comes down to a fight, they don't win. Not physically.
They don't win. Yeah, that too. Thanks, brother. I appreciate you so much. You're freaking awesome, man. Keep it up.
You're awesome. Thanks for calling me. It's nice to hear from you.
Well, man, I got to say my piece.
It's enjoyable. I enjoyed you jumping on. Thanks for being there tonight.
Thank you, sir.
All right, we'll do one more call. I'm going to let one more on the line. So if you want to jump in right now, the time is the present. It's for you. Let's see here. I'll throw the phone number out one more time. There it is in the Rumble chat. Here it is once again for our local subscribers, which is a lockdown chat for only the cool kids, I guess. 214 is the area code. 214-831-7631. Last call of the night, incoming, inbound. I hear the ringer, and let's bring it on. Caller, are you on the line?
I am on the line. Hi, Kyle.
Who am I speaking to?
This is P-Ed Weirdo. This is Ed.
Hey, Ed.
I'm just calling.
I like your name. I never know what it means, and give me the etymology of where that came from.
Okay. I'm probably more closer to your dad's age, but back in the day, I was given the computer moniker by a really dear friend of mine, and it's like their whole thing was, "You're just too weird for the rest of us," So that's who I am. I'm P-Ed Weirdo.
P-Ed Weirdo.
That's it. Yeah, since about 1995, 96. So that's what everybody knows me as.
It's a vintage name.
Vintage, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I get it. I can take that now. Okay, whenever I see it, I always see pedo, and then I'm like, what? What's going on there?
I know a lot of people do. Yeah, it is an unfortunate kind of a mutation there, but trust me, I'm totally the other end of that stuff.
Well, the thing is that I assumed, I'm putting letters together that were not intended to be read in the same order. So P-Ed Weirdo. I like it. All right. Ed, what's going on? What part of the world are you in?
Right now, I am in almost Louisiana, Texas, but still in Texas. I just arrived here this year from Colorado.
Okay.
Been there for 50 years.
Are you on the the north, like the Texarkana end of it, or are you on the south, like the Orange, and going across on the southern end?
I'm a little south Texarkana. So,
okay.
Down by Marshall.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's some pretty country.
I'm getting used to it. They're wonderful trees, man. I love it down here. It is my dream. Finally managed to to escape the madness that's there in Colorado, and down here, and it's like, but it is an adjustment, I have to say. I was living in what they call the FRUC, the Front Range Urban Corridor. And let me tell you, it's a for real amoeba thing. It's horrible. I had to get out of it. Man. It's like a river of hate, like from Ghostbusters. The river of hate that's under the city.
Yeah, it's just pure slime full of unadulterated hatred and all the worst feelings in the city.
And it's right along I-25.
Okay,
it's unmistakable. Yeah, that's where it's at. So. But man, it's cool to call you. I had to call in because you started talking earlier with Lemon about reading the cereal boxes, and boom, man, it brought back some memories of mine, because that's exactly where I was. Now, I would read the encyclopedia, the dictionary. I just could not get enough of it. I think, this year I've decided to go back and read some of the old novels that I started to read when I was 9 or 10 years old. I'm going to read Christmas Carol again. It's been a while. Since I've actually read the words. So
how many books do you think you've picked up and read just randomly cover to cover a couple of times and then just picked up, spun to the page and sat down and just went for it wherever you were at? How many books do you think there are in your life that you've done that with?
100, 150 maybe.
What are what are the top couple of them? What are your most, like, if you were going to just sit down and someone said, "Hey, throw me a book," and you knew what it was, you were going to sit there and you're going to read it because you got to kill 2 hours and you want to read something familiar, what would it be?
Well, I have to say I have not completely finished reading all the Bible. I think I read a lot of it, but not all of it.
Okay.
But of my favorite genres is science fiction. So I'd have to say, I'm a real big fan of Arthur C. Clarke, and so Rendezvous with Rama was one of my first books that I really liked and spun to.
Okay.
But I can't remember the author's full name. It was Pierre something Pierre, who wrote The Planet of the Apes, the book The Planet of the Apes.
Okay.
And if you've seen the movies and everybody's like, oh yeah, you got that impression of it. Read the book. I guarantee you that the book will impress you as to the just that kind of literary twist that only you can get when reading. Dickens was somebody that I liked. I read Copperfield and Great Expectations after reading all that. Star Tide Rising. Larry Niven, Ringworld, without a doubt, has to be in the top tier of all books.
What's it called?
Read Ringworld.
Ringworld. I've never read that.
Larry.
I never got really big into a lot of sci-fi, but I find that I enjoy the genre because it's more of an escape than a lot of things, and I think that it's either allegory or it's telling me a story that I want to read. So, I very much
into history.
Like, I really liked what Orson Scott Card did with the Ender series. That was strong for me, and there's a lot of theological background there too. That was good. Ringworld. Okay, I'll put that out there. And then and Pierre Boulez is what you said for the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Book. It was in French originally.
Very good.
Did you know that it was written in French?
I did not know it was written in French.
I didn't either, but thanks to Wikipedia. I'm doing the thing like Jamie did, right? So I look it up right now while you're looking. So it's Pierre Boulez.
Cool. I read it when I was in Germany. I was a dependent. My dad was in the Air Force, and that's how we got to Colorado. But before that, I got the blessing of seeing Europe when there were two Germanys, and it was I'm telling you, man, it was the best thing that you can do for your kids is give them the world. Just let them experience another culture for a little while, so that they can just really appreciate their own. Honestly.
That's good advice. Luckily, they've been importing other people's culture into our country for the last couple of years, so we have, all kinds of different options. You could just stay in your own state and see all. You can go and see little Korea. You can go to little Vietnam.
I wish I didn't have to laugh at that, but you're right.
You know what? I used to.
We got to.
Yeah, I lived in San Francisco when I first got out of college, which is early 2000s, and I remember walking through it. I was living down by the bay. Near the tourist area down by the Fisherman's Wharf. And so I would walk through two very distinctively bizarre neighborhoods. I walked through Chinatown, and then I walked through Little Italy, and then I walked through the red light district till I got to work in the financial district, which is a really strange kind of thing. But it's kind of like a thing that only like a 20-something can appreciate, walking in a suit and walking past like fish guts on the street, and then walking past a bunch of like garlic restaurants and people like yelling at each other in Italian, and then like rolling in and seeing like the sort of strip clubs and them hosing down the front of it because it's where the hookers were last night. And then you end up at work. You just go like, oh, this is some weird shit. I remember walking one time, and I think I was walking with the girl that I was dating there at the time. I was walking through somewhere in Chinatown. You never see this in like almost any other place except in big urban areas, I guess. So I'm in Chinatown. They got the ducks in the window and all those weird animals and shit hanging out there that are all, whatever they are, smoked or something. And I remember seeing a guy, and he was running an angle grinder on his bumper. And he's going like, and he's cutting into this piece of metal. And it shot a piece of metal right into my ear. Like at really high velocity. It was like a piece of metal shrapnel stuck in my ear, and I was bleeding, and I was like, fuck, I thought I got shot. I was just like, what just happened? Like you just sit there and suddenly you're bleeding out of the side of your head, and you're like, oh my God. And you look over, and the guy doesn't even stop because he doesn't care. I was like, I got to get out of here. This is dangerous. There's crazy stuff going on.
You know what they say, man,
There are no rules in San Francisco and Chinatown. At least, this is early 2000s. This is before they had poop everywhere and the poop maps and the needles. But it was a foreign world. But I did live overseas for a little bit. And, yeah, there's something to be said about having to do that. My wife lived in Italy for 2 different years, and I lived for 6 months in London. And, yeah, my dad did the same thing when he was, my age at that time many years ago. And so there's something good about going out and seeing of it. And then you come back and you don't really need to go there again. But you're right. Kids do need to see it.
Sure, but I got to tell you, we got to see Holland, the Netherlands, France, Italy.
Yep.
During our time there, it was, standard Air Force rotation at the time was 4.5 years. So I didn't have a lot of friends growing up, that were solid and long-term friends until I got to Colorado, which is where I've been for the last 50 years. And I left all my friends. I'm finding out that, yeah, man, I like living out here where it's like dark at night. I don't hear planes every day and sirens every 20 minutes. But
yeah,
you get used to it, kind of. We're all social creatures. We do need to be each other. And I wanted to just give you a shout tonight because, as many people are, it's like you are one of my main sources of what's going on in the news and everything. So thank you for doing that, bringing it to, fair and, a plain way that I like, and quick. I like
and quick,
but.
Right? Is that, there must be something. This would be my advertisement then, because you're helping me understand this now. But people who used to read cereal boxes because you desire a fast flow of information and your eyes need to be consuming something. There's, I don't know what our tribe is called, but there is a tribe that is just like, give me more stuff. I'm constantly.
I like Suspendables. That's worked.
Yeah, the Suspendable thing is more of a character analysis. I don't know. I suspect Steve is kind of like that. I think Steve Friend is. But I don't know if Garrett is the same way. Garrett is a little bit more methodical. He's a little bit more smooth. He's a little bit more even-keeled when it comes to... I'm frantic about information. Like, my eyes are everywhere. I got to pick up all the words. I told my daughter this because she just, she's just getting to be a decent reader, and she can rip through chapter books, which is funny. I forgot that that's what you call them. But yeah, chapter books, right? Books that have chapters.
Oh, cool.
And I said, what's really amazing about learning how to read when you can actually read everything that's out there? It's like unlocking a new part of the world that wasn't there before, because now all those hidden squiggly messages, they have meaning, and all the things that they've been advertising to everybody that could read them, you're one of those people now. And so you're in the club of people that can walk by and see the ingredients on the side of the food. You can see the sign over the top of the aisle. You can see what's going on the cash register when they ring up the thing. Like, it's a hidden thing that you didn't have access to. And I'm watching her go from 6 to 7, and my 6-year-old is now learning to read. God bless my wife for being good at this, because she's got really good patience. Cool. She's a great, she didn't know that she was training to be a homeschool mom, but she used to tutor kids with learning disabilities. So watching her do something, I couldn't do what she does. It's really impressive for me from the outside. I get to watch it and go like, I hear her comment on things, and she was like, "What do you picture when you see these letters?" And I'm like, I don't even know how to talk like that. But it's such a very distinct technique that she exercises. And I'm watching these kids learn how to read, and it's like, you're now in the club. And the club is, at least one of my daughters is part of our tribe. They're like, give me all the words and information, and don't I don't have time for this slow down shit. Feed it to me fast. So that's what we try to do. I appreciate you sharing that.
You're blessed, man. So my wife was great with my kids. My 4 kids are all grown and got their own, and got me some grandbabies that are just bright and just twinkly eyed and happy now. I just love it all. I love it all. So,
where are they at? Where are the babies at?
One more book, and this one's probably my number 1 and number 2. It's going to be Last of the Mohicans. And I got to say, man, Fenimore Cooper is really hard to read because you got to get that old English vibe. But once you catch his flow, man, you will. The book just flies by. So anyway, Last of the Mohicans, good one.
Is it? And that fits into is that what, part of the leather stocking tales? Is that what they're called? Is that right? Am I thinking of that correctly, or is that another thing? Leather stocking might be something else.
I'm not sure.
Hold on, we're gonna look this up right now. Leather stocking. I can't type right now. Leather stocking tales. Yeah. Okay. So who wrote those? The Stories of Natty Bumppo.
James Fenimore Cooper.
Yeah, James Fenimore Cooper.
The Last of the Mohicans.
Same writer.
Cool.
So so the stories of the Leatherstocking Tales are as follows: 1827, The Prairie. 1823. This is in weird order. This is not in a real order. The Pioneers. 1840, The Pathfinder. 1826, Last of the Mohicans, and 1841, The Deerslayer. So they cover a period of history from the Deerslayer in 1740 to 1755 to the Prairie of 1804. So those are the Leatherstocking Tales. I had that in my head somewhere. I was like, come on now, Kyle. Why do you know that? Those are the stories of Natty Bumppo.
Yeah. Very cool, man. Highly recommend it.
And you want to know something kind of fun while you're sitting out there? There's are you familiar with Winkler knives?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. So I'll just share it with the rest of the audience here so they can hear it too. So the movie adaptation of The Last of the Mohicans had an armorer whose name I believe is Daniel Winkler. I think that's the first name. I think it's Daniel Winkler. And we just lost the folks over at over on the Locals channel, so we've just gone too far for them. So Daniel Winkler is the guy who runs Winkler Knives, and he was an armorer on the set of Last of the Mohicans. Did you know that?
No. How cool is that?
So he designed the tomahawks and the weapons that were used on Last of the Mohicans, and he was approached by Navy SEALs at the beginning of the global war on terrorism. So he was they came to him and they said, hey, actually it was before the GWAT, so pre 9/11. They said, hey, I'd like a cool tomahawk like you have in Last of the Mohicans. And he was like, oh, that's cool. And then he goes, how much would it be? And he said whatever it was. And they were like, oh shit, that's really expensive. Like, we don't have that kind of money. And he went, oh, that's okay, no big deal. And then you have to get the names on the story here, but there's some pretty funny stuff. So long and short of it is 9/11 kicks off, GWAT gets approved, basically unlimited budget for all the things, for all of that, special operations and so on. And so they go back to this guy, Dan Winkler, and they're like, hey, we want tomahawks and knives for everybody on the teams. And he started making those Navy SEAL kind of special operations knives and tomahawks and war tomahawks and all that shit. But they found him because of Last of the Mohicans, the movie, not the book, which is obviously a difference there. But
very cool.
Now you know.
I like that.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
I like that. Little bits of info, man, they just add to it. You know, it's like, I can't tell a story without giving the backstory to you. So.
I'm the same way, yeah. And I like knowing it too. It's fun.
Cool, man. Great talking to you, Kyle. Finally get to talk to you, and just, man, right on. Great job. And shout out to everybody, Rose, Eric, you guys, you're awesome.
They are awesome. Dad, thanks for calling in. I enjoyed talking to you.
Oh, right now my chat is, I don't know what's going on. I can type, but I can't see any of the chat. So
are you over on the local side of things? Because the locals just shut down.
No, I was on Rumble. I mean, the past couple of days on the Rumble thing. As soon as I can, I'm going to get a subscription. But right now, I spent every dime I had getting here, brother.
Interesting. Well, you know what? The weird thing is Rumble seems like they've really upped the game. I forgot. So I actually started paying for Rumble simply because I thought that I was supposed to pay for them to be able to broadcast on it. I guess I didn't need to, but I did. It just seemed like they were giving me something. I should be giving them something back. So I started paying $10 a month as kind of like and there's some advantages to it. You can you have different archiving capabilities, and you have some back end access for what I was doing. So I was like, all right, whatever. And then when I log in, everyone's complaining about the ads, and I'm like, shit, I never see any ads. What are you talking about? And then I look, and it's like, well, I have Rumble Premium. Apparently, they just rolled that in with the subscription that I had. So I got in early on the on the benefit, but it's a business write-off for me. It's not the same for everybody, so I get it. Which is why we stream the other spots.
What's wrong with it?
If you don't have and if you have, you'll miss the chat out part of it. But if you're on if you use X, you can stream us there, and you get the whole thing, and it comes in high definition, and it's just as fast and just as easy to watch, and you get the same exact program. So if you're looking for places to find it, you can always find it in places where it won't stall. They've got a good infrastructure.
I think I'm gonna subscribe at Locals, but hell yeah, man.
Yeah, you don't have to pay to be part of the Locals program per se. You can just jump in there and create a username, and then you can jump on and we stream the show. It's not behind anything, except tonight I closed off the chat just because we make it on this one where it's available other places.
All right, cough. Right on, man. Right on. Oh, I got another moniker name on Truth Social.
What is it?
It's Muff Ugly. So
Muff Ugly.
That's me.
I'll keep my eyes out.
MUFUGLY.
I got it.
All right, Kyle. It's been fun, man. Really great. You're a good guy. Keep it up.
I'll do it.
I said hey.
I will do it. Thanks so much. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate it.
All right. Bye.
All right, brother. All right, we are. I think we're gonna call it for the night, y'all. That was a nice little 2 hours there. I think my friends over at the ACTJ, the American Council for Truth and Justice, are going to be doing their piece. So if you guys want to dump into there, I'll try to find their podcast and dump it in for the Rumble listeners, because why not? And everybody that joined us, we really appreciate you guys calling in. Thanks for sharing your time and your thoughts and many of your compliments. And I'll take criticisms if you have them, but we didn't get too many today, so that's okay too. Looking forward to tomorrow. We'll have a Friendly Friday. You guys were asking about Jack Carr. Yes, that is the symbol that they use, the Jack Carr Winkler Tomahawks. Those are the ones I'm talking about. And you're obviously seeing one that's over the screen over here, over the top of my little dive fin. If you guys didn't know what this was, this is a fin that I used when I went through Pararescue Indocked, along with the actual, it's both the actual fin and it's the actual snorkel that I use going through that. It's the mask that I use to go through dive school, which is a slightly different thing, pre-dive and dive. And then I've just got my ribbon rack on there and my dive bubble that I got awarded when I was in the Air Force. So anyway, that's what sits behind me. If you guys have never actually seen that, sitting in the dark, but now you know about P. Ed Weirdo's name, which is also pretty cool. All right. Thanks for joining. Look forward to seeing you guys again. I'm going to find another song here to go ahead and let's do the virtual wait, and we're going to cash out just like this.